How do I find my style as a photographer? This question has come up a lot lately. Do you know what your style is? More importantly, does it even matter? Stay tuned until the end, and I'll tell you 10 steps that you need to find your photographic style. Hey gang, more and more, I am finding new and young photographers who have been told that in order to turn professional, they need to know what their style is. Now, I'm frequently asked about finding my style, and my answer is always the same. And it begins with, don't worry about it. I honestly think that the discussion of photographic style is a hindrance to the development of young or new photographers. In short, it's a creativity killer, and a topic that should not be considered by the photographer. But instead, it should be left to those who view the photographer's work to make that decision. I would define photographic style as something that you realize or become aware of after years of shooting. And you look back at your work and realize that you have habits in your creative choices. It may be a type of lighting or post-processing, possibly using wide-angle lenses more than telephotos, or using wide-angle lenses in situations where telephotos are generally considered the norm. It could be a preference for color or black and white. Heck, it may be as simple as preferring landscapes or people. So my advice to anyone who thinks that they need to find a style or know their style, stop trying, stop thinking about it, and stop listening to misguided people who tell you that you need a style. And whatever you do, don't define your style before it defines itself. Seriously, is this idea of having a style really that important? Not at all. I have yet to meet the photographer who picked up a camera for the very first time because they were pondering the concept of style. I've also never met a photographer who told me they became passionate about photography because they wanted to have a style. Now, even though I think it's not important, I know people will still talk about photographic style. So if you're looking for some advice about how to develop your style and even how to know when you have it, here are my suggestions. Think back to why you picked up a camera for the very first time. Was it to photograph the people in your family? Landscapes, travel pictures, flowers, pets? Think about the photos that you've seen before you got started in photography. Photos that caught your attention, that you admired. Think about the life experiences that you enjoy the most. Maybe you're drawn to nature. You love to travel. You're a foodie. You find people fascinating. Thinking about these things will help you feel. Feeling is the source of emotion. Passion is a strong and barely controllable emotion. If you can't imagine your life without the camera and without your favorite subjects, then you aren't passionate about it. And, well, you have bigger problems than worrying about your style. A common mistake photographers make is to observe other photographers. They think that since the current trend is to photograph an interesting building with a dark, stormy sky and then place a bride and groom in the bottom of the frame so small that you can't tell who they are, well, they think that they should do that. Or they think that since everybody is talking about high-speed sync and overpowering the sun, that they should do that too. Or they think that since everyone is more excited about the bokeh in the background than they are the subject, well, they think that they should do that as well because they think that is what the clients want. Then these same young photographers become frustrated when they try to recreate these techniques and then look at their photos compared to the photos of the photographers they're trying to copy. And they realize that they have failed, or worse yet, just added to the noise by creating an image that is the same as what everyone else is doing. Bottom line, sameness is boring. While this speaks for itself, I would strongly encourage you to watch this video. I put the link in the description below. So when you're finished with this one, check it out. The bottom line, you can't become a great photographer by thinking about it or reading about it or watching YouTube videos. You need to pick up your cameras and take pictures. Lots and lots of pictures. Be sure to make mistakes, lots of them. The more mistakes, the more you'll learn if you're passionate about what you're shooting. We all love toys, but gear does not make the photo. If you don't truly understand your gear, how it works, and what its capabilities are, you're not going to be able to get the best out of it. Understand that photographers made portraits with beautiful creamy backgrounds 30 plus years ago, when f2.8 was considered revolutionary. Photographers overpowered sunlight with speed lights and stopped fast action with flashes in the 1980s, long before we heard of high-speed sync. These trendy, exciting features are nothing more than convenience. They are advancements in technology that make your job easier only if you actually understand how and why to use it, and if you have developed proper shooting techniques. Advancements in technology have made photography more accessible to the average person, and that is a wonderful thing. But if you want to be seen as an accomplished photographer, understand that the technology isn't what gets you there, because everyone has access to the same technology. A great photographer understands light. They understand it from a technical aspect as well as from a visual aspect. They truly understand how the exposure triangle works without having to rely on their camera's light meter. They understand that depth of field is not a blurry background, and they can use it as the creative and problem-solving tool that it is. A great photographer understands post-production at every level. Photographer and retoucher are two different job titles. So you may outsource your retouching, something that more and more photographers are doing as the technology advances. But if you do not understand the techniques and the process involved, it is almost impossible to direct and communicate with the retoucher to ensure that your images look their best. Photographers love to create problems. Great photographers are great problem solvers. Every time we get an idea for a photograph, we create a problem. For starters, we want it to be better than any other photo we've taken. We don't want it to be boring. Inevitably, there will be issues with the location or the subject or the light or the lack of gear. So we have to solve the problem. This is where you have to put everything together. Your idea, your knowledge and understanding of lighting, depth of field, lenses, composition. This is where your passion for your subject matter has to motivate you to work through the problems. This is where your knowledge of your equipment and what it can do and how it works will help you to solve the problems. And this is where the practice that you should have been doing on a regular basis will pay off. The best photos are deliberate. Things are done purposefully. Exposure is good, and there's detail in the highlights and shadows. The color balance is either correct or uniquely interesting, but not off or ugly. Hair is in place and not full of distracting flyaways. And if it is messy hair, it is messy in a way that looks really cool. Backgrounds are not distracting, and things aren't growing out of people's heads. The important elements are in focus and not blurry. The shadows are not harsh when they should be soft. The poses are flattering, and the body language matches the idea, and the list goes on. If you're not a freak about details, your work will not be seen as anything more than average. The best photographers are control freaks who worry about every little detail in their photographs. You can look like a rock star with 5 photos or a complete hack with 10. Remember that no one else will experience your photographs the same way you do. The more photos you show, especially of the same subject or from the same shoot, you're simply showing images of lesser quality. You're doing this because you had fun or because you achieved a personal milestone with the photos. But the people who view your photographs won't have the same experience. There is only one best shot. Don't think that people care so much about your photography that they want to see 10 photos of the same thing with just different camera angles or lenses or poses. They don't. If you Google the phrase iconic photographs, you will find hundreds of instantly recognizable images that have stood the test of time and are considered to be incredible examples of photography. Many of them break the creativity-killing rules of composition and lighting. What they all have in common, they evoke emotion. They're not just technically great images, but they represent moments in time that people connect with. They represent feelings that people have experienced. They communicate. Rely on your brain for the technical stuff. Rely on your heart for the creative choices. The choices that give your photographs meaning and allow you to connect with your subject. Don't worry about the rules. Pay attention to how the photo makes you feel and how all of the elements that you have included make you feel. Let your emotions guide your technical decisions. When you have shot hundreds of thousands, if not millions of images, you look back review your work, and your work will tell you what that style is. What, you expected a more complicated answer? Sorry, that's really it. Look, the bottom line that as photographers, we are creating something that is viewed in a subjective manner. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Regardless of how good you are, not everyone will enjoy your work. If you want your work to remain relevant and interesting throughout your life and career, you must be willing to adapt, to experiment, learn, grow, challenge yourself, solve problems. All of which is hard to do if you have a label that says you can't. Even if we're talking about photography as a business, to be successful, a photographer has to take photographs to the best of their ability. If he or she is smart, they will take photographs of a subject that they enjoy, or better yet, are passionate about. That, of course, would make it a bit easier to do great work. But then, once they've found their passion and developed a skill set, in order to survive and pay their bills, they have to find someone who is dumb enough to pay them for what they do. If they try to do what the next guy is doing or what they think someone wants them to do, not only will they not produce great work, they won't enjoy what they're doing. So my advice for you, if you've been considering your style, and if you haven't been shooting for at least 10 years, go and pick up your camera and shoot something. And shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And then go and shoot even more. Because your best shot, it's your next shot. Remember this, and your style will take care of itself. In the meanwhile, keep learning, keep thinking, and keep shooting. Adios.